Deep within the cold waters of Ireland, a function so devious takes place that it'd knock the ankle-high socks right off your housebroken cow. This function is so mysterious and unbelievable that it'd make Nessie take a step back. This function is... Is this dramatic enough effect? A man and a Merrow getting blackout drunk on brandy at the bottom of the ocean. I'm the RatMan, that was obviously a fake accent, and I'm about to give you the lowdown on Merrows. Alright, so TLDR, Merrows are goofy little guys from Irish folklore who are a lot like mermaids, except they wear more clothes and they don't particularly want to drown you, so that's pretty nice. Now, there were two main written accounts about Merrows, the Lady of Gallerus and the Soul Cages, but Merrows were passed around, like most folklore, through oral traditions, through word of mouth. It would be passed down through generations, and you tell other people the stories, right? I'm not sure when the Lady Gallerus got written, it's on Wikipedia, but it was like an actual tale that got passed around by word of mouth. The Soul Cages was a work of fiction. It was not passed around by word of mouth, somebody wrote it down. But then, apparently, by complete coincidence, the story is like on point with real oral tradition stories of Merrows doing things. Like, it just actually lines up exactly, so that's cool. So we can take it at face value and say, yeah, we can apply this to Merrows because apparently it lines up perfectly, but it was not written by these passed down oral traditions. Now, the Lady of Gallerus is about a Merrow woman who marries a man, a human man, which apparently is like a very common occurrence. It's like she makes a great housewife, they live very happily together, but heartbreaking, the ocean calls her back and she disappears. And then the Soul Cages is about this Merrow man, which is very rare, trapping souls in lobster pots and hiding them in his house because he's afraid that they'll get cold in the ocean. See, that's like a very kind reasoning. He just doesn't understand that souls could go like to the next plane, you know? So, what is a Merrow? What is it? Merrows are primarily women almost all the time, but there are men. It's not like insane to hear about somebody seeing a man, but they are very rare. The women are very beautiful, modest, and kind of naive. They have green hair and iridescent scales on their stereotypical mermaid tail. They have very light webbing between their fingers that resembles like the membrane between an eggshell and the egg. You know, if you just peel a little bit of the shell off right there, that's what it looks like between their fingers. Now, the men of this species are very, very over-the-top, super-duper a-go, which is why it's pretty common for the Merrow women to marry human men. They're sporting green hair and teeth, pig-like eyes, and stubby fin-like arms. They often have red noses, which we think is because they drink a ton of brandy. And instead of having like a normal mermaid tail, they have scaly legs and then like a fish tail that grows out between the legs. Is really weird. Now, both Merrow men and women do share some characteristics. One such characteristic is known as the Cohaline Druith. It's this hat. A lot of accounts say that it's red, but it doesn't have to be. Generally like a hood, or some tales call it a crooked hat. It's kind of weird. But this allows them to go underwater. Without it, they are landlocked, which is interesting, isn't it? They're not like, the sea is not their primary living place. It's above the water, but they wear this hat to go under the water, and then they love it there more than on land, so they rarely come up to land. It's very interesting. If it's stolen, like I said, the Merrow can't go underwater, and eventually it'll just become a lame old normal human person. But if a human puts on the Cohaline Druith, they can go underwater. They can just do the Merrow stuff. They can just zoop into the... They're good. And I don't think they turn into a Merrow. I have read no accounts of that. But they can go underwater now. So that's sick. Now, you would think such an item would be, like, hunted after, like a magical treasure, but I also didn't read any accounts of that ever happening. So my only conclusion is that the Merrows are too nice to be stolen from. Something else that all Merrows share is that they're extremely kind and hospitable. They're not like, they're like normal people, right? They're literally, you can just, if you see a Merrow, you can literally just walk up to him and be like, hey, nice to meet you, man. And then you have a conversation and now you're friends with Merrows, and apparently now you're blessed. Like, if you become acquaintances with a Merrow, good fortune befalls you, so that's sick. But you can just go ask how their Tuesday night went. Like, it's hilarious. I'm trying to continue the So You Want to Hunt series. I don't want to put Merrows in that list because they're just like people, but they can breathe underwater, and it's, I don't want to tell you how to hunt a nice, kind person like that, you know what I'm saying? So what can Merrows do? They've got some pretty straightforward but cool abilities. Firstly, as already stated, Kohaleen Druith allows them to breathe underwater. Apparently they can also talk to fish and have them run errands for them, which is just, that's cool. Aquaman abilities or something, I guess. We can see this in The Lady of Galloris, where the guy who's about to marry her is like, wait, you're a princess? Oh, I bet you have beds. I wanted to get you a feather bed. Could you, but maybe you have some under the ocean? No, she doesn't have feather beds under the ocean, but she's like, oh, I can have the fish bring up some oyster beds. I have like 14 or something like that. She doesn't have them bring them up, but she's saying that she can have the fish like fetch anything. And I guess throughout the story, she has them bring up gold because she's a princess. She has them bring up gold and then they live a very nice life while she's there, so that's cool. So we can see them having fish run errands for them. Now, Merrows also have subnautical raves that are allegedly gnarly. Some might even say, totally tubular, dude. These song parties can be heard traveling across the surface of the ocean despite them taking place at the bottom of the sea, on the seabed. This is because Merrows can send audio text messages through the ocean, through water. They can just whisper to the water and it gets carried to wherever the frick they want it to go. So when they're having these singing parties, it just like turns the ocean into an amp, and that's sick, dude. We can also see that in the Lady of Galloris, because she whispers across the ocean, hey, yo, I'm getting married, so that her dad doesn't freak out, and you can see it like ripple across the ocean. As we see in the Soul Cages story, apparently somehow they can just casually trap souls? What? So the merman guy in this story, Merrowman, my bad, he's trapping sailor souls because he thinks that they'll be cold in the ocean. The story annoys me because there's a guy who's trying to save the souls, who's trying to get them out of there, but he doesn't just go talk to the Merrow guy. Instead, he's like, I gotta sneak into, they're friends, they're buddies, alright, they become really good friends, but he's like, I gotta sneak into his house to free all those souls. My guy, he doesn't really care about the souls except to keep them warm, from what it appears. Like, the Merrow guy takes him to his treasure room and is showing him all of his fancy treasures, like, look at all this stuff, isn't it so cool? Oh, anyways, that's everything, let's leave. And then the guy, the human guy, has to ask, wait, what's in those lobster pots there? What's that? And then the Merrow guy's like, oh yeah, that's just the souls. And he's like, what? Okay, he didn't obviously care. Why don't you just go up to him and be like, hey, could I take the souls to the surface so they can make it to heaven? It's that easy. You're buddies, he obviously doesn't care about the souls, just ask him if you can take the souls instead of breaking into his house. Like, bro. Anyways, it's a really good story. I love this stuff. I'm reading like Irish folktales and stuff for videos. And I'm writing in monsters in a book now for my children. I don't have kids. I don't even have a girlfriend, but you know, future preparation. So anyways, I don't really know how, I don't know if they have soul urgy or anything like that, but apparently they can just like get souls. And that is the Merrow, everybody. I looked up water sprites on YouTube and found that there is one video of water sprites and it looked AI generated. So I decided I think I'm gonna make some short videos like this going over water sprites. I was gonna make a really long video about like 10 different water sprites, and this was gonna be the first one, but I decided not to do that because these long videos, I'm not in the groove yet. So I'm gonna make a bunch of short ones, and then I might like edit them up and throw them together to make one long video. We'll see what happens there. But that's Merrows. They're very interesting creatures from Irish folklore. I really like them. Actually, they're super cool. They're like the happy twist on mermaids. I like that it's a benevolent creature, right? And they're just a super fun one to add to the database. Anyways, I think that's gonna do it for this video. If you would like to support, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 500 by the end of this year. 500 subscribers. I pray we can make it. I've never had that many subscribers before, and I've had tons of different channels trying different things. But I think we can do it, guys. So let's hit that goal of 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Make sure to leave a comment so that I can get some input on this video. If you have any creatures, cryptids, folklore related, or just weird stories that you'd like me to cover, make sure to comment them. I will get to those. Hit the like button so that it gets shared out to more people. And subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified whenever I release the next water sprite video. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. RatMan out.